All right, so let's get into something kind of cool today. The story of LeBron James. And I mean, the basics, right? The championships and the records, like the whole legendary career. But we're going to go a little deeper here. What are those like kind of less obvious things about LeBron's success? Maybe even some stuff we can learn from. And we've got a pretty cool source for this, an episode of the Legends Unleashed podcast hosted by LeBron himself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like getting a behind-the-scenes look.
Absolutely. Yeah, having his own perspective, on his journey, that really adds like a whole other layer to understanding all of his accomplishment.
Exactly. So LeBron was born in 1984 in Akron, Ohio. Single mom, tough upbringing, like not the easiest start to life, but even with all that, his talent in basketball, it was undeniable, even from a young age. And what's so fascinating to me is how that early adversity seems to have like shaped his whole approach.
Yeah, you see that pattern, with a lot of high achievers. It's not just about having the talent, it's about developing that resilience.
Yeah.
In the face of challenges. And that's often what separates the good from the truly great.
Okay, but here's where things get kind of crazy. He's barely 17 still in high school, and boom, he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated labeled The Chosen One. That's gotta be a ton of pressure for a teenager. Like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's almost like a social experiment, right? To see how someone so young would cope with that level of fame and expectation. But LeBron not only handled it, he thrived. Led his high school team to multiple championships and proved that the hype, it wasn't just empty talk.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about the wins either. I was reading about how even back then, LeBron was already showing that like team first mentality. Like in one game, he intentionally missed a free throw so a teammate could get the rebound and score. And it was like he understood that elevating his teammates made the whole team stronger.
Yeah, that's a key insight. It shows that he had, a really mature understanding of the game even then, and a willingness to sacrifice individual glory for, the collective success. And that's that leadership quality that often gets overlooked, but it is crucial.
So fast forward to 2003, LeBron enters the NBA draft straight out of high school and gets picked first overall by his hometown Cleveland Cavaliers. Instant stardom, like everyone's watching to see if he can live up to all the hype.
And he does not disappoint. Average over 20 points, 5 rebounds, and almost 6 assists per game in his rookie season. He was impactful in like every way imaginable, and he was only 18.
But even with those crazy stats, he was already talking about championships. I remember reading an interview where he said, "I'm not satisfied with just being a good player. I want to win titles." It just showed a level of ambition and focus that's pretty rare, especially at that age.
Yeah, and that drive is exactly what fueled his decision to join the Miami Heat in 2010, and that move was controversial, to say the least. Fans in Cleveland felt betrayed, but if you look at it from LeBron's perspective, it was a calculated risk to achieve his ultimate goal of winning a championship.
And that's what's so interesting to me. It wasn't just about joining a team with other superstars. He went to Miami to learn from experienced veterans like Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley. It was a strategic move to push himself and elevate his game. 2 back-to-back championships with the Heat, you can't really argue with the results, right?
Yeah, you're right. Those championships speak for themselves, but I think it's also important to, acknowledge the fan anger back in Cleveland. They felt like he abandoned them when they needed him most.
Yeah.
And it raises an interesting question about, the balance between personal ambition and like loyalty to your roots.
Totally. And that tension is exactly what makes his return to Cleveland in 2014 so fascinating. It wasn't just a basketball decision, it was a deeply personal one.
Yeah, he was coming back to fulfill a promise to bring a championship to the city that had never won one. The stakes were incredibly high.
And that 2016 NBA Finals, down 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors, a team that had just set the record for most wins in a season. You were actually at Game 7, right?
I was.
Yeah.
The energy in that arena was electric. You could feel the weight of history on everyone's shoulders.
So was it really LeBron's leadership that swung the series, or were there other factors that maybe people overlook?
Well, his performance was undoubtedly incredible.
Yeah.
He averaged a triple-double for the series, blocked a crucial shot in the final minutes of Game 7, and hit the game-clinching free throws. But
yeah,
it was also a collective effort. Kyrie Irving hit that like iconic game-winning three-pointer, and the entire team, they played with this like grit and determination that was really inspiring. It was a moment that transcended sports. It brought an entire city together.
Yeah, it's crazy how like one sporting event can have such a huge impact on a whole community. I remember watching that game on TV, and even I felt the emotional weight of that victory.
Yeah, and that's what makes LeBron's story so compelling. It's not just about individual achievement. It's about the power of sports to like unite and inspire people.
Okay, so after fulfilling his promise to Cleveland, LeBron signs with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2018, just another chapter in his already legendary career. But what's really interesting to me is how he's kind of evolved beyond just being a basketball player.
Right, he's become this like global icon, a businessman, philanthropist, an activist. It's like he's using his platform to actually create some real lasting change.
Yeah, and let's talk about the I Promise School in Akron. This isn't like your typical celebrity charity project. He's actually invested significant time and resources to create a school that provides like wraparound support for at-risk kids and their families.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about providing an education. It's about addressing like those root causes of poverty and inequality. They offer free meals, transportation, job placement services for parents, and even a food pantry.
Yeah.
It's like a holistic approach that's really making a difference.
And then you've got his activism. He's been incredibly outspoken about social justice issues, especially, racial inequality and police brutality. I remember when he wore those I Can't Breathe shirts during warm-ups in 2014. It was a powerful statement and definitely like sparked a lot of conversations.
And it wasn't without risk. He faced backlash from some fans and even some sponsors, but he was willing to use his platform to amplify those voices that often, go unheard. And that takes courage, especially when you're like a global superstar with so much to lose.
Yeah, it's almost like he sees his success as a responsibility, a way to empower others and give back to the community that supported him.
That's a great point. And it all kind of circles back to that idea of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just leading on the court, he's leading by example, showing what's possible and
Yeah.
use your influence for good.
So in that Legends Unleashed podcast, LeBron talks about his mindset as like the key to his success. He emphasizes the importance of, vision, discipline, and this relentless work ethic. But it's 2023 and he's still playing at an elite level. How does he maintain that drive after all he's accomplished?
Well, I think it goes back to that inherent resilience we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
He's constantly pushing himself, setting new goals, and refusing to get complacent. He's also surrounded himself with like a great team. Trainers, coaches, business advisors who help him, stay focused and motivated.
Yeah, it's like he's created this whole ecosystem of success. And it's not just about winning championships. It's about maximizing his potential in all areas of his life.
Exactly. He's constantly evolving, expanding his horizons, and challenging himself to be better. And that's something we can all learn from, regardless of our profession or our passions.
Okay, so we've talked about his on-court dominance, his business ventures, his philanthropy, his activism. Is there anything we've missed?
Well, we can talk about his media company, Spring Hill Entertainment. They're producing
Yep.
movies, TV shows, documentaries, podcasts, all with a focus on amplifying diverse voices and stories.
Oh, that's right. He's even got that show called The Shop, where he sits down with other athletes, entertainers, and cultural icons, and they just discuss like current events and social issues. It's so fascinating how he uses his influence to shape like the whole cultural landscape.
Yeah, it's a reminder that success isn't just about individual achievement. It's about using your platform to create, positive change.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I want to turn it over to you, our listener. What stood out to you the most in LeBron's story? What are your biggest takeaways?
It's been a pretty fascinating deep dive, hasn't it? There's so many different aspects to LeBron's journey, like from those early days in Akron to, his global impact today.
Yeah, it really makes you think, we knew he was a great basketball player, but like exploring all these other parts of his life, the business savvy, the philanthropy, the commitment to social justice, it paints a whole new picture.
Yeah, and what's most impressive to me is how he seems to like connect all those different areas. It's not just about individual achievements. It's about using his influence to like make a real difference.
Right, he's not just chasing championships. He's like building a legacy that extends so much further than the basketball court.
And that brings us back to that idea of, mindset that he talks about in Legends Unleashed. It's not just about talent or, working hard. It's about having that clear vision, setting ambitious goals, and then like relentlessly going after them.
It's funny, we often talk about LeBron's legacy, what he'll leave behind, but this whole conversation has got me thinking about like my own legacy, what kind of impact do I want to have? What am I doing to make a difference?
That's a powerful question, and is one that, we should all be asking ourselves. I think LeBron's story reminds us that we all have the potential to create, positive change, no matter our background or our circumstances.
Absolutely. It's not about comparing ourselves to LeBron James, the global icon. It's about taking inspiration from his journey and applying those lessons to our own lives.
Yeah, maybe it's about being more intentional with our goals, more committed to, our passions, or even more courageous in speaking up for what we believe in.
Or maybe it's about finding ways to use our own like unique skills and talents to give back to our communities, even in like small ways.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play, in making the world a better place.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. How can you apply even just a fraction of LeBron's mindset to your own life? What steps can you take today to start building a legacy that you'll be proud of?
Yeah, it's a question worth thinking about. And, I encourage you to reflect on that as you go about your day.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of LeBron James. It's been an insightful journey, and we hope you've come away with some valuable takeaways.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to make a positive